Welcome to 5 Strike Weekly. MLS has finalized their tournament in Orlando, and this week in the Soccer Trivia Showdown, can I level it versus Tanner? Find out next. Welcome to the show, 5 Strike fam. I'm AJ, this is Tanner and Mark. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Follow our Twitch for new streams and surprises on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/ATL UTD FanTV. So MLS is back, and that's also what they're calling the tournament. The MLS is back tournament on July 8th is when they will commence. And yeah, as we previously have talked about and reported on the show, June 24th would be one of those days for most of the teams to go down to Orlando for the training sessions in the build-up to the start of the tournament. Initially, it was going to be maybe around July 8th, but now it is July 11th rather, but now it is July 8th that the date will be. Now, MLS also plans on having these games count towards 3 of the games, at least anyway, in the group stage count towards the regular season, and then they hope to have a regular season after that, and plus the MLS Cup playoffs and the 25th MLS Cup. Now, in terms of the just overwhelming numbers that I'll throw at you, it's 54 matches, it's the 26 teams, all 26 teams, in 6 groups, and then there's 1 champion. It will, yeah, 3 games per club in those group stages. In those 6 groups, there will be 3 Eastern Conference groups, 3 Western Conference groups, and of course Nashville, if you haven't heard, will be moving over from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference, where they probably should have been in the beginning anyway. And they even said it themselves. They're like, yeah, this probably suits us better because we can actually play the teams that are in our area. But yeah, so the top 2 finishers in each group will advance, and then the 4 best in 3rd place also will advance. So it's just like pretty much only a few select will not advance anyway. Knockout rounds, and in terms of the dates, it will be round of 16, July 25th to 28th. Quarterfinals, July 30th, August 1st. Semifinals, August 5th through 6th, and then the final will be on August 11th. And of course, there will be health and safety protocols for COVID-19 because this is why it's happening in the first place. But yeah, in terms of that, what do you guys think so far, and with what the information and the barrage of information that I give you guys?
I mean, I think that it's kind of, I personally don't like, I understand why they have regular season points and Champions League tied to the competition. I'm not necessarily thrilled about that. I prefer that teams focus on fitness because I'm worried about injury concerns with guys coming back and being forced to play important competitive matches. And, again, MLS is different from the other leagues that had to start in that they only played 2 matches before they suspended league play. And so I understand why they're doing it, but I just have slight concerns about player safety in terms of the number of injuries that could possibly occur during this, which could then further derail the rest of the regular season if you have, important players pulling up with injuries and muscular injuries that could keep them out a few months after this. But, I think they're doing the best they can with what they have, and it's good to see Nashville in the East, like you said, where they should have been in the first place. I think outside of the name, the funniest thing, though, is the fact that Orlando is going to be a top-seeded team. So, LOL.
Of course. And I believe Real Salt Lake will also be one of them because they finished, I believe, 3rd in the West. So that's a new development as well. Now, also in terms of, yeah, the... and we'll get to you, Mark, on your thoughts. But yeah, the group stages and the draw, it will happen tomorrow. We're filming this on a Wednesday, so it will happen tomorrow afternoon. We could be drawn in Group C and Group E. And, there is maybe a thing where if we are drawn in Group E, it's a little bit easier for us because we would have to, well, easier maybe relatively, we would be able to get down there later. So we would be able to train more and be able to go down there, be theoretically more with guns blazing and you know, maybe be able to make a deep run into this tournament. But either way, the draw will happen tomorrow. So very interesting stuff indeed. Yeah, what were your thoughts, Mark?
No, I mean, I'm glad they worked something out. You know, obviously, like, I'm glad the players are on board. Don Garber really seems like he's done several press things and, you know, kind of laid out protocol and all that regarding to COVID. So I'm glad they have all that worked out. As for me personally, I mean, like, I'm glad I have something to look forward to, like, especially with all the other soccer coming back, like, add this to the calendar, right? Right now, though, I am, you know, a little meh on it. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I think this is, and other soccer leagues are heavily compromised in terms of the competition. You know, I think the circumstances will favor the stronger teams. I do expect Atlanta United to advance no matter, you know, who's in our group, just because I can't, like, you know, it's one of two teams who, out of the group who will go possibly three. You know, I just don't see how we're not one of those teams, especially given the talent distribution, the rest of MLS. And we know who the one seeds are, right? So it will be interesting to see what comes of it. But yeah, you know, overall, I think I'm satisfied, you know, and just I will be looking forward to it, definitely.
Yeah, and a couple of additional things I haven't added yet was that the winner of this gets a Champions League berth like we reported last week, and also that there's a 1.1 million cash prize pool, and that I think in terms of how it might be distributed, it would be, you know, to the players and the staff and whatnot, but how it would completely be distributed is, I think, a development that we'll find out later. But like, is it, you know, only the winner gets 1.1 million, or is it throughout the tournament and whatnot? We shall see. For the fans, obviously they will not be able to go, and also, though, you know, you will be able to watch it on the partners in television that we have for MLS, so ESPN, Fox Sports, Univision. So at the very least, yeah, we get to watch this at home in kind of the safe confines, if you will. And so, yeah, I mean, to one of your points, yeah, Tanner, it was mentioning about the fatigue. I think also we mentioned this in a previous episode that, yeah, us having 5 subs will also, I think, help it a little bit more. And especially if someone just pulls up just even slightly a little tight, we can, you know, bring in someone really quickly and not really fear a whole lot of retribution. So, you know, that is, I think, a little bit better. But yeah, I feel you. It's, you know, it still feels a little extraneous at the moment because, yeah, you know, Champions League, historically, MLS teams haven't really fared that well in it. So, yeah, you get a berth, and what if someone lucks into really just playing really, really well, and then they get in the Champions League, and then they absolutely get embarrassed? Well, you know, that could be a scenario that actually happens because, I mean, it's a small kind of tournament. It's a World Cup type of tournament. You know, not every team that is the out and out best team in the tournament always wins. So, you know, even though, you know, there are some odds already, some initial odds from betonline.ag, and it has Atlanta United at 15-4 odds, or 15-2 odds, and LAFC is top with 15-4 odds. I wonder, though, if that actually takes into account Carlos Vela, you know, not really being probably part of the tournament because his wife is pregnant, and then us not having Joseph Martinez. Those are two, really, I think, 1 and 1A best players in the league already taken off the board. But, you know, you still have the likes of Seattle Sounders with 15-2 tied with us at second. You have Orlando City, notably, all the way down there, somewhere around the 23rd or 24th. It's kind of tied, so at 50-1. And Nashville SC, unfortunately, draws the wooden spoon in at least these odds. Interesting, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think with the odds, for some reason, I don't think Atlanta United is going to win this tournament, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think especially without Joseph. And I think Carlos Vela-less LAFC are going to be in a similar situation. So I think the winner of this tournament will be possibly, not necessarily one of the lower seeded teams, but, you know, one of those after us, potentially, that, you know, could just pop up and win it between that, you know, maybe like that 3 and that 10 or so team of odds that wins it. I just don't see us or LAFC winning if our players aren't there.
Yeah.
I just love that the machine that is sports gambling just picks right up where it left off. It's like, all right, game's back, odds, let's go. You know, I don't know what the context. I agree with you, H. I don't know what the context is for these odds. You know, especially with not really having recent form to take into account. But I mean, I guess you just look at the rosters. I think it's pretty easy to say that the best teams are Atlanta, LA, Seattle, Toronto, probably. You know, so.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Yeah, maybe I think one of the stronger Eastern teams can probably pull this one out. Although, yeah, it may be one of those teams that are accustomed to that weather. Also, because Brad Guzan mentioned in the interviews today, according to Joe Patrick, that no one has taken into account that it's always also going to be hurricane season down there. So,
imagine if it's an active god is just like, you're not having this tournament, it's stupid. Bam.
You know, and so you probably can't put it past 2020 right now. That'd
be so on brand.
Exactly.
July is just like, and hurricanes. It is the month of hurricanes. It's just like, and no games for you.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it's one of those, we'll still, you know, I think take each kind of news thing with a grain of salt almost, because you never know what could happen in 2020. But moving on from that, Jeff Loretowitz talked about and really torched MLS Commissioner Don Garber.
We have similar views, Jeff and I.
Yeah, similarly to Tanner here, regarding the negotiations between the MLSPA and MLS. He said, quote, when there was a potential lockout, I was disgusted. I thought it was a bullying tactic. Really didn't sit well with me. I'm not one to hold grudges, but it's going to take me a bit of time to get past this. And I mean, obviously, since then, they've ratified the CBA, and yes, they've agreed to this return to play tournament in MLS is back. So, I mean, it's, with good reason. I think he felt very slighted. I think the MLSPA, like the whole lot of them, felt pretty slighted. But do you think there are gonna be kind of, you know, good vibes after this, or is just, you know, is it gonna be just time healing all, and they just have to, you know, kind of bite their tongue, and, you know, in the meantime?
Well, they're not. I mean, from what I've seen, remember, these players have social media, and a couple of them have kind of, I guess you could say, endorsed that, in that, I think the league did do some long-term damage in terms of trust with the players. And rightly so. I mean, like, I just thought that was not the time for that sort of threat. You know, it's just really not reading the room, reading the situation, especially when you're talking about players who are not even in the 100,000 salary threshold. So it just, I don't blame them, quite frankly.
Yeah. And then there's also, like Jeff Loretowitz also is a little bit older, so, you know, he might be kind of, you know, in that territory where he might retire in the next year or two. So he probably doesn't fear any retribution from, you know, from the commissioner for saying any of this stuff. So I think that context is where he, just went balls out and just said what he felt and didn't really worry about it. But Tanner, we kind of know what your thoughts already were. But if you want to reiterate something, totally go for it.
I mean, I was glad when, you know, Loretowitz came out and said those things, because it's, you know, it's like, okay, cool, the players and, you know, my views kind of align in terms of how they view the league and some of the league's decision making, and, you know, what I think is really greedy decision making on the league's part, from owners that definitely do have the money. I understand you're trying to grow the game, and in terms of profitability, the league is not yet there. But also, you know, if you want the league to get there, you have to have, if you want more money, you have to have a high quality product. If you want to have a high quality product, there has to be a trust relationship between the players union and the league, and there has to be growth there to where more money is going to the players. If players' wages are higher, then you're going to have a better product. That's what, if you read the book Soccernomics, it's not how much you spend on transfer fees, it's what you spend on wages. Teams that spend more on wages are better. They win more. MLS does not spend enough on wages, in my opinion, and they have an incredibly convoluted salary structure that the owners and Don Garber continue to perpetrate, while at the same time accepting expansion fees over $300 million if you just want to skip the queue and get to the front of the line. And that doesn't sit well with me, because if you're having these owners and these ownership groups paying all this money to get into the league, and then you're like, but your salary cap is minuscule, and to even navigate that, you basically have to have like an incredibly complicated, detailed map and Sudoku and crossword puzzle at the same time and figure out how the hell all this fits together. And then when, you actually do get a league that's been improving, which it has been over the past few years, especially with the addition of teams like Atlanta United, like LAFC, you have Miami coming in this season. They're going to be spending. How does it look when you're trying to attract players? Because players like Antoine Griezmann really like MLS, and there's a potential for them to come over not necessarily long after they've peaked, as some other players have. How are you going to be able to attract those players if the potential of them not getting their wage demands met, not having good structure around them, and the potential for them to get locked out? That's not going to happen. It's not going to help your league. You're not going to make more money off of that. So I have issues with the direction the league is going and its leadership, and I agree with him. I thought it was a bullying tactic to threaten to lock the players out. I thought it was pathetic on their part, especially, like Mark said, reading the room at this point in time. So yeah, I've definitely lost quite a bit of respect for MLS with the way they've handled a lot of things recently, and I think they'd have to do some stuff in order to get some goodwill back, not only from the players, but I think from the fans as well.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I have some more thoughts on that, but I don't think we should dwell too much longer on this since they have returned. But anyway, so moving on from that, Joseph Martinez, yes, he was seen putting some weight on his right knee, his restructured ACL, and he was doing some leg presses, I believe. I don't work out, I guess, enough to know exactly what that's called.
I think that is a leg press, yeah.
I believe I'm correct, but but anyway, so yeah, it's great to see. A lot of people pointed out though that it seemed like there was some leg atrophy. I kind of doubt that it was that much as they're pointing out. I think it's maybe the angle a little bit. I mean, if you look in the mirror at your own leg, sometimes you can kind of see that, yeah, maybe some of the angles, it may not be as like, if you have legs that you think you're proud of, yeah, it may not be as big as from other angles. So I think, yeah, it might be a little bit of both. But what do you guys think after seeing that video of him doing the leg presses?
I'm just happy to see it, honestly. I did notice that, yeah, his thigh was quite smaller than the other one, really. I think that's why it was so jarring, his neck side by side. But I mean, it's to be expected. So I am happy to see him, yeah, doing the exercises again.
Yeah, I mean, not much to say. The fact that it looks like he's recovering pretty quickly, and I know your stance, AJ, you don't want him playing at all this year. And honestly, I'm starting to side more with that theory, just because I'm not really valuing the season at all anymore with how the league is trying to finish it and some of the things they're doing. And so it's just like, at this point, rehab, come back safe, come back next season, and just get back to scoring 30 goals a year, and I'll be happy.
Right.
Yeah. Indeed. And also he went back to blonde, which I think is the kind of customary look that most of us are used to. I mean, you see the older photos when he has kind of almost emo hair sometimes, where it's across his face and whatnot, but it's black, and it's like, who is that guy? But now it's the Joseph that we all know and love. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things when he doesn't have it. It's a little bit, something's off. Right, but
the silver
anyway.
look, I didn't like the look when he went silver. That wasn't really my favorite.
I love when he dyes his hair any color. I don't really care. But but I don't really mind when he doesn't have the hair dye. It's a little bit like, who are you?
Better than Barco.
Barco, yeah, when he had the hair dyed, it was yeah, I mean, probably not the best look, but anyway, so moving on from that, Anton Walks, he talked about coming to MLS and that he recommends any of his English buddies to also, come down to MLS instead of dropping down in the leagues in England. He spoke about a flurry of other things as well, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a really interesting kind of argument that he makes, is instead of dropping down to the Championship or League One, League Two, or even lower if that's where they go, you get to go to a what's considered the top league in another country and play in front of a lot of fans versus maybe only tens of thousands, or like in the teens rather, like 10,000 fans or less, and then plus, yeah, you get treated a little bit more like royalty than maybe some of the Championship and League One sides. And so You know, I think, well, you know, we're obviously a different situation. You know, if they unfortunately maybe went to Chicago, it would be a different situation. That it would not be. It would be like, well, I feel right at home. You know, but,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point though that he makes, because I think the championship is a bit different because the championship is a really high quality league, high standard. A lot of the pay there is higher than MLS, I think, for a lot of players that are in that, and especially the clubs that have spent time in the Premier League in the last decade, since the TV money has really been coming in. Their facilities are pretty good. But like you said, AJ, I mean, there are certain teams in MLS that, you know, Atlanta, LAFC, Miami, when they finish their stuff, they have really high quality facilities, really high quality stadiums, and it's like that comparative. You're comparing those to some of the top facilities in the world, really, in terms of how good they are, and you're not going to find that in League One. Definitely not League Two. So I get his point, and I mean, you know, the pay is going to be comparable in some situations. So it's like, why would you not want to live in a country where, like you said, you do have a bit of anonymity at times, but also when people do recognize you, you are treated like royalty, and the facilities are incredible. Like, you know, that's a good point, and I'm glad he said that, and you know, hopefully some more quality players can start heading over here and playing in MLS.
And plus, you can speak the same language as well. Sorry to cut you off, Mark, but go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, that, and I mean, like, what I find interesting is that it seems that he's suggesting that the competition is at least comparable, you know, below the Premier League, which, I mean, I think that's a solid level for MLS to be that, like, you know, if they can compete side by side with championship teams, at least for players, you know, I mean, that's a good start, because, yes, I mean, some of those championship teams are big teams, so.
Oh, and hold on, let me slide in a nice little segue plug. If you want to see how Atlanta United would do in the championship, check out the Twitch streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because we're experimenting, and we've moved Atlanta United over to the championship, and we're having a go with it right now. So, boom, slide that on in with the segue.
We were going to talk about it later, but, you know, might as well bring it up here.
The timing was too good.
Very, very true. Yeah, and I had another point. I can't remember it right now, but yeah, it's something about. Yep, nope, can't remember it. Oh well, moving on. But anyway, so moving on from that, the 2021 Atlanta United season tickets have been frozen at 2020 prices. That's per an email given out by the team. And so the season ticket holders, yeah, they won't be having to pay more next season at the very least. Well, obviously because of the pandemic, but also what's interesting here is that, yeah, in terms of, you know, the games that we do or don't play, yes, we would maybe get some credit for the next season. And yeah, right now we only played one, and you know, there will be some more regular season games apparently anyway, and if there are, yeah, I mean, that can at least, we can get something back in our bank accounts, or at least move towards the next season if you so choose. And also, if you bought tickets to the ill-fated Kennesaw Champions League match, you can also get the return on that as well if you just call their box office. So just slide a little note in there that, yeah, if you're hurting for a little bit of money, you can do that. So anyway, I believe you guys both didn't really buy tickets, so it doesn't really affect you guys, right?
I had tickets to that game. It was my birthday, so I was going to get lit, but instead I got laid off from my job and the game got canceled. So
yeah, I was supposed to go to San Francisco, and then a pandemic happened.
Yep. It was all a where were you when, yeah, type of thing. Right.
But to be fair, like after the first leg, I wasn't really giving a shit anyway. So
there might be some epic comeback. You never know, but yeah, we're gonna wait and see on this this Champions League.
La Remontada. Will we have our La Remontada against Club America? Because that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I would wish it to happen. I would wish it to happen. But anyway, so moving on from that, MLS has allowed players to peacefully protest during the national anthem now. I mean, yeah, they won't be having the national anthem at the MLS is Back tournament, but yeah, theoretically, when we go back into the regular season, they could do that. Although, hopefully, there's, you know, enough stuff happening in the reform and other things department that, you know, it would be interesting to see if people are still going to, you know, bend the knee. But either way, it'll be great that they can. but also as well, the USSF also backtracked on their rule allowing players to peacefully protest.
Did they
as well.
finally? Okay, good.
The USSF can shove it. Genuinely, I do not care about I like the women's national team. They're great. They put out a great statement. But aside from that, don't care. U.S. men's team and the USSF can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. I can't stand that organization.
And the USSF had to be pressured into it. They were, pretty late on it as well. And so I didn't even actually hear that news. But, I mean, I'm glad they did. But they kind of had to be honest.
Right, exactly. I mean, if MLS did, then there's kind of ongoing pressure towards the other things soccer-wise in the States. But I remember my point from earlier. And speaking of national teams, there was a report out that the English players, in terms of that kind of hotbed of players, is actually even greater. Where it's kind of maybe one of the best in the world. And so in that respect, if there are a lot of English kids that want to come to the United States and play, that's great. I mean, we'll take a whole bunch of talented players that, maybe can't exactly cut it in the Premier League, but, maybe could have played in the Championship, but could play to even more eyes over here. Right. We'll take it. We'll take it. But anyway, moving on from that, The Athletic had an article where they spoke with 10 MLS players talking about the racial injustice and everything that's going on right now in terms of the protests and whatnot. You may have seen a couple of that stuff in terms of Miles Robinson and what he spoke about. I'm going to read a few of these quotes and we'll talk about it. But Miles Robinson said that every person in America has to understand that the backbone of this country was run off slaves. Free labor for this country for 400 years. This country wouldn't be what it is today. This is 400 years worth of oppression, of slavery. And then you have to look back in the history books. What are these amendments? What are they really saying? And then you look at the system in place. Why are there way more African American people in jail? Is it because they can work for free? And it's like a new form of slavery. We've been systematically held down since we came to America. Now, Mo Adams had some words as well. He said, I've never experienced something where there's such unity and a commitment to making a change. You see all these athletes, but it's not just them. There are a lot of people from different cultures, different backgrounds coming together and fighting for this together. And I think that's what we need. We don't just need black people trying to make their voices heard. We need all different generations and backgrounds. Former Atlanta United player Julian Gressel, now of DC United, kind of has been empathizing as well, which is good to see. He says, today I went for a run and for the first time I thought, what would this be like if I was a black person running past a policeman? What kind of emotions would I be going through? Those are all different ideas that are popping into my head right now. Things that are just different than I've known, obviously. And also, separately, George Bello spoke to MLS Soccer, said that there's just two sides of this. You're either against it or you're not. I heard what Philadelphia Union defender Mark McKenzie has said. You're either against racism or not. You're for the movement or you're not. There's no in between. So that's just where I stand on it, and hopefully this world and the US, we can just come together and fight this off. A lot going on there, but you guys have any thoughts with all of that, Mark?
I'm honestly impressed, I think, with Miles, with Mo, with George especially, because these are young men. You have to remember that I think Mo is 24, and Miles is younger than that, and George is still a teenager. And so, to really take on, speak about this issue in public, especially with social media, where some of the responses are going to be disingenuous, less than ideal, let's say. But I think at the same time, it's important that we all use our voices and our platforms, whatever they are, to speak out, because I think, especially for Black people, we encourage one another, and it can be exhausting to constantly experience and then try to talk about racism, and that's just like a daily struggle. And then, you go through the thing about, well, am I making too big a deal about this? Am I being that guy or whatever? But I think I myself have certainly felt more encouraged to speak out share information and whatnot. And I'm glad to see it from them, honestly. I'm proud of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that you are as well. And yeah, you've become definitely more vocal, not only on this podcast, but also, you know, across social media as well. And yeah, I mean, you know, we're absolutely here for you, Mark, as well. Tanner, you have any thoughts?
I mean, I just keep it simple for me. I'm right with everything as well. We spoke about it last week. Mark and I have been out there before, marching together, and I think there's a few other big protests or marches that are being planned. I think June 19th or Juneteenth, for those who are unaware of that, I believe there's supposed to be a really large gathering that day. I'm planning on going to that one personally, and I've also heard that there's going to be a massive march on Washington in August on the anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. So I'm hoping to actually go to that as well if I can. But I think for me, especially speaking to other white people, you know, I feel blessed in that, you know, I've definitely been aware of I'm not trying to sound holier than thou, but I've definitely been aware of my privilege for longer because of the people I've grown up with and interacted with, and I've been aware of that. Subconsciously, a lot of the time, though, you don't think about it, though, and you like I don't think about the fact, you know, until recently, that it's just like, if I get pulled over for speeding or for running a stop sign, I'm mad at the cop because I wasn't doing that, and I can afford to be mad at the cop and have no fear of retribution from him because I'm white. And I've never once I got pulled over in college one time going, you know, because I was speeding because I was late for a math test, and I was like, man, I'm sorry, I'm running late for a math test and I have to get this test to finish my scholarship, which was true. But it's like, I was thinking about the test. I was thinking about my scholarship. I was thinking about the fact that this officer could shoot me for no reason right now, which is too often the case for your black people of color, African Americans. You know, it's a problem, and that shouldn't be the case. And I think for me, I think my message to all people who are white, if you're scared about having a conversation with someone, black people and people of color in this country have to have courage every day they walk out of their door to do something, because something could happen to them because of the color of their skin. If they have the courage to do that, then we should have the courage to be able to have these conversations and talk about our white privilege, the system that gave it to us, and we should be able to use that same privilege to destroy that system of white privilege, because it should not exist, and we shouldn't be better than anyone else based upon the color of our skin. So that's how I feel about the whole thing, and I'm with everything as far as this movement goes, and it's making a lot of changes. I mean, today you saw NASCAR ban the Confederate flag, and you have a guy in NASCAR driving a car that says Black Lives Matter. I mean, in NASCAR, that's the most conservative sport when it comes to people, with the fans and their values that they hold. And NASCAR is doing that. Clearly, changes are starting to be made, but it'll take a lot more in terms of work, in terms of us getting out and voting and getting rid of people who are racist and spout hate and vitriol in public office, and making sure people who want change to happen and want progressive policies that aren't racist, it's our job to go out and vote them and put them in, even if the lines are long and it's bullshit. We fix that by going out and voting. So
yeah, I think to bring it back to MLS real quick, I listened to Don Garber's interview on the call up with Susanna and Jillian, which I love their podcast, by the way. I'd recommend it if you're watching this. But you know, he talked about, you know, okay, it's one thing, it's great to put out statements and show support. And then he talked about, you know, essentially putting your money where your mouth is. And he talked about needing to see more black coaches in MLS, more black people in the front offices, across the teams, in the league office itself. And I thought that was big coming from the commissioner. It's essentially like calling out his own league and his own, you know, himself a little bit, and saying, you know, we all need to do a little bit better as that goes. And that speaks to the systemic differences between the experience of black people and white people. And so, yeah, I just wanted to point that out as well, because I did think that was big of him. And I would hope that he and others follow through on having the workplace, you know, reflect, I think, the league itself. Because, you know, you see this, like, the NFL is really egregious with this. The amount of black players you have, and then, like, versus the coaches and front office and even the quarterback. You know, it's like, why is it that leadership positions seem to be reserved more often than not for white people, disproportionately so anyway? And so I think that's something that I would like to see MLS address.
I think it's also important that these athletes are speaking out, because referencing the NFL, you know, there was an executive that said, as soon as the NFL saw Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson in a video talking about Black Lives Matter, they immediately changed their policies, because they're like, these are the faces of the league. So people who say politics and sports don't mix, I call bullshit on that, because these players have a platform, and it's good to see them using it for a good purpose and using it responsibly. And I think the most important thing for me is that I'm glad that Don Garber said those things. And I think, you know, I can't speak for people of color, African Americans, Black people, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to be politically incorrect there, but I think the most important thing is that they're getting the jobs not because they're Black or because their skin's a different color. It's because they're qualified. And too often than not, what happens is you have qualified candidates, or you'll have an overqualified candidate, but because of the color of their skin, they're not getting the opportunity. And that's the bullshit thing that has to stop, because there are qualified candidates. There are qualified people who are highly talented at these jobs, and they've been denied them based on the color of their skin. And that has to stop happening.
Right. And it may be something too where it's like, okay, certain people are a little bit more of a known entity, or like, they might know this guy through a couple connections, but that often, favors the group in power, whatever structure we're talking about. In this case, of course, we're talking about white people in this particular structure. So, yeah, exactly. I think it's all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said, guys. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it is just the start of this. So, yeah, definitely get involved. Be passionate about it. This is just the beginning of this, because it absolutely, the whole thing top down needs to change. But moving on from that, in a slightly kind of related manner, is German Bundesliga club Eintracht Frankfurt. They tweeted out a Black Lives Matter tweet, but also that, I think one of their kits, I don't know how permanently, but will have from Indeed, also with the hashtag Black Lives Matter as the sponsor. And so that's huge from them. That's a great show of solidarity in Bundesliga, which, I mean, that's
they've been incredible. They've been incredible. That's the way a league should behave and be proactive and empowering. And the NBA in the United States is really good about that as well. But as far as from a soccer league overseas, Bundesliga has been great. And I think this past weekend you saw all the teams taking a knee at the center circle, referees in both teams before every game, and it's just like, why has that been such a difficult thing for us to do here? Like, why? It's not.
It's true.
Yeah, and I think, Taylor Twelman said on his banter show that, or at least on ESPN, either way, he was talking about how football or soccer is the most racist sport in the world, and that's, these players and, these leagues have the power to do something about it. I thought that was really interesting and really poignant from Twelman, because, I mean, it's, I think he brings some really interesting points there in terms of, it's the biggest sport in the world, and the fact that, you have kind of, not only, Cristiano Ronaldo has he's the most followed person on Instagram. There really is a huge platform for players and, teams to be able to enact change. And so, it's something that, it might have been systemically racist in the past, and now is the time to make.
Has Ronaldo said anything or put a statement out? I don't know if I've seen that much.
I haven't been following, what he's been saying, but I don't know. But hopefully he has. We don't know, but either way. So moving on from that, talking about some more world football, at the very least, Lionel Messi, he has a possible return over the weekend. He has been cleared to face Real Mallorca on Saturday, and that's great for Messi fans, I'm sure. I mean, there's, at least maybe a couple on this podcast that at least appreciate what he does.
I haven't seen him yet. Yeah, I haven't seen him in person yet. I've seen Ronaldo, but I haven't seen. Well, I think I might have seen Messi, but it was in a preseason friendly, so it scarcely counts.
Yeah, but it's great to see, the best players in the world be able to.
Spain has a title race. That's the only. Well, I guess Italy a little bit as well, but Spain, Real Madrid, and Barca are really going to be pushing each other the rest of the way. So that's definitely, if you want to see a league competing for your league title, that's probably your best shout at this point.
Yeah, right. Pretty much the only one.
Very
right?
true. Pretty much, except for Serie A. Possibly.
Anybody but Juventus.
But so, and moving on from that, in a meeting with 71 English Football League clubs, it was decided that promotion and relegation between the divisions will be retained for the season, and so that's really interesting. Even in this pandemic, that this will still happen, and of course, in terms of English Premier League, it will restart next Friday, and the championship will also start on the 20th. And so all that stuff is coming back soon, and now all the implications are still alive. You still even have FA Cup, and you still even have, yeah, just, you know, I think it almost brings about almost a sense of normalcy. Not quite, but almost.
Right.
I'm ready for the Premier League to be back. I'm ready to watch Man United play again. Like, oh man, I'm excited about it.
And yeah, I mean, there's
get that shit out of here, Mark.
There's some top 5 implications. I say top 5 because yeah, Man City still have that
fingers
possibility.
crossed, right? Fingers crossed they get chucked out, cheating bastards.
Exactly. But,
cheating, lying, shitty bastard. Although I did see today that Arsenal lost to Brentford in a friendly. That's not.
We did, yeah, 3-2. But you know, it's a friendly. I don't really care. You know, I think it's just a matter of getting fitness at this point. So whatever.
I think outside of the title race, there's a lot of really good, interesting stuff happening in the Premier League. There's about 6 or 7 teams. We talked about it in the stream yesterday that could go down, and the race for European spots is really competitive as well. I mean, you got a lot of teams that even Arsenal aren't totally out of the picture yet, especially for Europa League at least. So it's really competitive.
Yeah, you got Sheffield, you got Wolves for the Europa League. I think Leicester is still holding a Champions League spot.
Leicester's definitely taking a Champions League spot, I think.
Right.
I think Leicester will be fine. City hopefully get chucked out, and then Liverpool win the Premier League by the end of the month, which is just tragic. But they didn't win the treble, and they didn't go unbeaten. So as far as I'm concerned, me and AJ are happy.
Indeed. It would be really interesting. I don't know if mathematically Man City could drop out of the top 4. But that would be really interesting then if...
I'd want them to finish in the top 4 just to have it yanked away, because that'd just be hilarious. It'd just be like... It's like the season that Tottenham finished 4th and Chelsea won the Champions League, and Tottenham got kicked out of the Champions League even though they finished 4th because Chelsea finished 5th and won it, which was just hilarious. It's just like, LOL, and it's Tottenham, so all 3 of us could enjoy that.
Yeah, in terms of, all 3 of the people on this podcast, you love to see it. But anyway, sorry to the Spurs fans if you are one. But anyway, so that does it for the news for this week. A little bit of housekeeping, as always, was that Twitch stream stuff we were talking about earlier. And yes, we are playing Atlanta United in the championship. And yeah, it will be very interesting to see how we fare. So far, pretty good 2 games. And we're pretty much, it's wins only. And yeah, we've really, I think, brought in, almost overhauled the entire team slightly. I mean, there's like the core. There's the core. And it's still... Yes. It is. Yes. It is something something of a sight to behold for sure. And so, yeah, join us 9 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're all there, and so come and banter with us. So anyway, that does it for the news and gets us to this week's Soccer Trivia Showdown. And Mark, take it away.
Yeah, all right. So welcome to another edition of the quiz show. Tanner, of course, holds a 2-1 lead. He can clinch tonight, or AJ can tie it. What will happen? Let's find out.
We shall see.
We are first, of course, we have to determine who goes first.
AJ should go first. He won last week.
Nah, let's get that question.
Never get this question right, which is why I said that.
We want the question. All right.
Yeah, he rightfully so makes it difficult enough. Yeah.
All right, so we have a 100% record at this venue.
Oh.
Ooh.
Whoever shows me first.
My pen stopped running out, but Orlando City.
Tanner got it in.
Yep.
Were you thinking about it, AJ?
First.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I should have thought Orlando City first. I was like, man.
I knew off the bat. I bantered them way too much to not know that question.
That is an amazing trivia question, though. We have never dropped points at Orlando City.
It's great.
Yeah. All right. So, first, of course, we are in the first round. It's 3 questions. Both competitors can answer. 1 point for each question. Yeah, 3 points maximum. Okay. So, first question. This player committed to the University of Maryland.
Yeah.
He committed?
He committed to University of Maryland.
But didn't play there necessarily.
Yeah, like this is some real like insider almost.
Yeah, I know. This is insider baseball. I like it though. It's good. It's challenging. We always suck at this first round.
No,
Yeah.
you guys did good last week. You got 2 out of 3 both.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, last week we did better.
All right, let's just
Show me something.
Okay.
I'm wrong.
I'm just gonna say Miles Robinson.
Miles Robinson.
I'm wrong, but Lawrence Weick.
Lawrence Weick. So
With
before signing a homegrown contract, George Campbell actually committed to the University of Maryland.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How about that? Now you know.
Yeah, that was a good addendum. Yeah, committed, not played.
Right.
Okay. Next question. George Bello scored his only Atlanta United goal versus whom?
Oh, we both got this, bud. We both know it. Throw that up there. Do you want to type it out? Because you both know the
No,
answer.
we both have to write it. New England Revolution.
New England Revolution. Both of you are on the board. Correct.
He scored it from the left side of the box. It was bouncing. It wasn't the prettiest, but it was a nice goal.
Yeah, you
Well,
ran
it
on.
was a
3-1?
first touch.
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah, ran onto it nicely.
Yeah.
All right. Final question of the round. In the penalty shootout versus Crew in 2017, he was the only 5-stripe to score his penalty.
I think so.
All right, both of you got an answer down?
Yeah.
Let's see him.
Gressel?
AJ takes the lead.
Was it Tito?
It was
Tito.
Tito Villalba. All right, so AJ has a 2-1 lead going into the second round.
That penalty shootout was so dog shit.
It was.
It literally reminded me of the shootout first Man United game I ever went to was a penalty shootout loss in the second leg semifinal of the League Cup in 2014 against Sunderland.
Oh.
And I was in the front row of the Stretford End. And Chicharito scored in like the 120th minute to send it to pins. The pins were on the opposite side on the by the east stand. So all I could see, because I was so low behind the goal, was just United's free penalties consistently just going over the bar. And we lost 3-1, and it was just like, for fuck's sake. Like, all I could see was just the ball just going over the bar into the stand.
When you don't even make more than one penalty, that's so... Oh, yeah.
It's just... especially when you just miss them and just don't put them on target. And it's just...
I think Zach Steffen made a couple saves.
Zach Steffen did. Zach Steffen was incredible that game, and it was just like, what the hell?
Right.
But we also didn't have our best penalty takers in the match.
Right. Yeah, Mickey was off. That's right.
We subbed off, I think, Yamil as well. It was
Joseph wasn't on.
Yeah, Joseph wasn't on. It was
Miggy was on. Miggy missed, didn't he?
I don't think
Miggy took one. No.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
It was hella weird. All right, anyway.
All right, on to the second round. So each competitor will get 3 questions of their own. If they can answer it without multiple choice, they get 2 points. If they need multiple choice, it's only 1 point. If they get it wrong, their opponent has a chance to steal. So we start off with the player in the lead, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
All right. So, AJ, this player's first Atlanta United goal came in a 1-1 draw at Portland.
Julian Gressel.
Final answer?
Yes.
2 points to AJ. Yes.
Good shout.
He scored at the beginning of the second half, briefly gave us the lead before Portland tied it.
Yep. Left foot, I think from the edge of the box.
Yep.
I missed that game, which is why I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I forget what I was doing. I remember I missed watching that game.
All right. So, Tanner, in the 7-0 thrashing of New England, this player scored his only goal of that season.
Kevin Kratz.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Boom! Tanner responds with 2 points of his own. Yes, that was Kevin Kratz's only goal of that season was a free kick. All right, back over to AJ now. 4-3 is the score. Joseph's last hat trick came against this team.
I think I know this.
DC United.
Yeah, that's what I would have gone with.
What's the final answer?
Yes.
All right, AJ coming out strong. Yes, it was indeed DC United in 2018. All right, back over to Tanner. This player led Atlanta United in goals in the 2019 U.S. Open Cup run.
Brandon Vasquez, final answer.
Tanner is correct. Now we're at 6-5. It's a high-scoring one. I don't know. I don't think these questions were challenging enough for you guys. All right. Final question for AJ. Our last win of 2017 season came versus whom?
Oh, that's a good freaking question.
Damn you, Mark.
Yo, that's a good question. Oh, man.
Multiple choice.
Multiple choice. All right. A, Philadelphia Union. B, New England Revolution. C, Montreal Impact. D, LA Galaxy.
What was C and D again?
C was Montreal Impact. D was LA Galaxy.
C, Montreal Impact.
That was my guess.
Tanner has a chance to steal and tie.
What was A and B?
A was Philadelphia Union. B was New England Revolution.
I'm going to say B, New England Revolution.
Tanner misses the chance to tie. Was the Philadelphia Union 3-0 win, and then after that, I think we were like 4 winless to end that.
Was it?
Right.
Dang.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that was a
I,
weird.
I thought when he said Montreal, I was like, Montreal sounds familiar, but
Right.
eh.
All right, Tanner.
Okay.
In our 5-0 thrashing of LAFC, this player was sent off before VAR reversed the decision.
Jeff Larinowitz.
Final answer.
Yeah.
AJ with the chance to steal. Cannot.
No, I know who it was now. Shit, it wasn't Larinowitz. I know who it was now. Fuck.
You have to shush.
I know who it is though. Yeah.
But no multiple choice for AJ.
Right. I think I know. Damn it.
Can I say who it is after AJ answers? Just
Yeah.
if he doesn't get it right, I think he will though.
I gotta make sure, but it's just there's no making sure.
right.
Answer the question.
Damn it. All right. LGP.
It's not him. It's Chris McCann.
Tanner's right belatedly, and so
As soon as I said it, I was like, "Shit!" It was Chris McCann. I remember everything because it's like he doesn't get sent off. He's not a bad player like that. And
it was like the
so
first
pissed.
minute.
And Larinowitz was going mental, which is why I was thinking it was him because he was just like, "How is that a red?" And I was thinking of Larry, but nah, it was McCann.
Yep. Good one by me.
Yeah, very good one.
That was a great
I
question.
like it.
I like that question.
All right, so it's 6-5 going into the final round, and so in the final round, each competitor will get 3 questions from a random selection of categories. Question number 1 is weighted with 2 points. Question number 2 is worth 3 points. Question 3 is worth 5 points. There is no stealing for this round. And so you guys will randomly choose between 1 and 4. AJ, you go first. Yeah.
I'll choose 4.
I'll choose 3. I swear to God, if I get who moved to Russia before they moved to America from a random country, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
All right, Tanner, you chose the Americans.
I did shitty with this before.
Okay, so first question. I think you had Latin America before. Well, no.
Oh.
Anyway,
I've had whatever.
First question. This player's first MLS goal was a late game winner in the Rocky Mountain Cup.
who played for Colorado on our team, or is it Rocky Mountain Cup's Colorado and Real Salt Lake, right?
He cannot answer that.
Oh, for
yeah.
You can't
Two
give
context clues.
Brooks Lennon.
Brooks Lennon, is that a final answer?
Yeah.
All right, Tanner jumps in the lead. It was indeed Brooks Lennon. Yes, the Rocky Mountain Cup is between Utah and Colorado. Good job.
I was like, who's one of our players that have played in a club that's there and has probably not scored a lot?
What I really wanted to know is, could you actually guess what the Rocky Mountain Cup was? And you did, so I'm proud.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was like, probably Utah and Colorado, and I was like, who on our team has played for that? And I was like, well, Brooks Lennon has, and I was like, I think, hasn't Lorenowitz played for Colorado as well?
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
But I was like, he scored at New England before that, so I was like, it can't be him. So I just...
No, you worked it out, man. It's good.
Dark.
Context clues, man. Yeah.
All right, AJ, you got previous stops.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it! I would have crushed this category. This is my shit. I know this kind of stuff. Damn it, Mark. Bastard.
You might still... Anyway, okay. Darlington Nagbe's team defeated these two future Atlanta United players to win MLS Cup.
I have to name two?
Oh, I
Hopefully I
have
get
more
more time. But, okay, repeat the question again, please. Sorry, I was talking.
Yeah, no problem. Darlington Nagbe's team defeated
I know the
these
freaking
two
question.
future Atlanta United players to win MLS Cup.
I'm so mad at you.
Okay, shh, quiet. All right, Darlington Nagbe's team. So you want me to answer the team, right?
No. Sorry. Darlington Nagbe's team defeated these two future Atlanta United players to win MLS Cup. I want you to name the two players.
Jesus.
I know the answer to this question.
Jeez.
Don't say it after he answers if he gets it wrong, but I think he can get it right because I believe in him because he'll figure it out.
But it's okay. Oh, this is an annoying question, man.
The way I'm framing it. So just break
Yeah.
it down. Darlington Nagbe's team won MLS Cup. Who did they defeat?
One of
Now
them.
stop walking him through the freaking question. You wouldn't tell me who the Rocky Mountain Cup was.
No. He's not walking me through the question. Anyway, one of them is Michael Parkhurst. And then I'm trying to think of the other person.
You got it.
Justin Miro.
Yes, that's the answer to the question.
That is the answer to the question.
Thank
AJ is back on top. So I believe it is 8-7 now. Yeah. Okay.
Shit, and I was just like, damn it.
Oh, no, sorry. Your sound cut off for a slight second.
Oh yeah, my headphones are almost set. It's fine.
All right, back over to Tanner. This player spent his youth career with Cholos before signing with Atlanta United.
His youth career?
His youth career.
Greg Garza.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Incorrect. It was actually...
Brandon Vasquez.
Oh, yep.
Yes.
I think AJ would have killed this category.
Yeah. Can we switch?
Nope.
All right. So
Well, AJ's already won this round because this question is going to be the most obscure shit I've ever heard in my life.
No, it's still tight, man.
to force more questions, Tanner. This player made his pro debut in Portugal's second division.
Pro debut in Portugal's second division. Not him. I don't even know anyone on our team that's played in Portugal. Again, Greg Garza I know speaks Portuguese, but I don't think he's played in Europe. So that's out. Joseph didn't play in Portugal. He also played in Europe. Miggy didn't play in Europe until now.
He's stalling now.
Bro, if you have a fucking idea who this is, let me know. But if he answered who's the players that have played at former clubs, I got this question. Ask me the 5-pointer AJ would have gotten. who's playing Portugal's second division after being asked who lived in Russia before they moved here to freaking Lagos Kunga, who's never even played a first team game for us. Okay.
Yeah. To be fair, it's a very tough question. Yeah, I agree.
I've got absolutely nothing in terms of players who have played for us. Like, I'm trying to run through all of people who have played first team minutes for us, like who could have possibly played in Europe before coming over here. And it's just like all the players I can think of that played in Europe, I don't think can think of them playing professionally in Portugal. So yeah, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I literally have no answer. I don't know. I've got nothing. No answer. I don't have a player. I mean, I'll say Greg Garza again, but like only because he speaks Portuguese. Like that's the only reason I'd throw him out there. Other than that, not a damn clue. I swear to God.
Accept that.
Is it Greg Garza?
Accept that?
I mean, he did say Greg. Are you really saying?
I'm actually saying Greg Garza only because he speaks Portuguese.
Like a whole minute and a half later.
I said Greg Garza earlier, but I didn't think he actually played there. But
at first you said no, and then you came back and said yeah.
I mean, Greg Garza is the only answer. I don't know. Only because he speaks Portuguese is the only reason why I throw him out there. But
hey, AJ, how do you feel? Do you feel we should allow?
I don't think so. I mean, and I'm not just saying this because it's the last question and whatnot, and I might be able to win because of it, but it's because, yeah, it's like a whole minute and a half later, I think.
I'll give you a minute. I mean, I had to work through the math. You got like 45 seconds to figure out Justin Miram and freaking Michael Parkhurst.
Two players.
Straightforward.
That's two players.
That's two players that played in MLS that played for us.
No, but the difference is...
Who made an appearance in the Portuguese second division? Do you even know what the Portuguese second division is called?
You had to name one player. I had to name two players.
Who played in Portugal's second division?
It doesn't matter. It's one player. You have to think of one player versus...
I did say his name, and before you said it, I was like, fine, Greg Garza, and I threw it out there. If you don't want to give it to me, fine, but I'm just saying, yes, I will give you all that time if you needed to figure out the rest of your questions, and I'll never complain. But, like, I had to throw a shot in the dark because I have no idea the answer to that question until I just threw out Greg Garza.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of you for getting it right, but I'm not just out protest this
I'm vexed about that person. I mean, I get your point, but, like, I got there in the end, and I don't mind giving you time. I will not say anything if you need time, but, like, I did get the answer right, even though it took time. So
yeah,
I would also protest that.
Yeah, I think maybe more stringently next time, yeah, Mark, really, you know, count that time if you have a timer. Yeah, and you did, and I'm really like amazed that you got it, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. The whole, I mean, like the thing about Greg Garza speaking Portuguese, like that's a really like trivial clue. So
yeah, I only know that because I've seen him and his wife speak it when they're on the team. So I'm like, oh, he speaks Portuguese, and it's just like interesting. That's the only reason I would have even guessed it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's actually a brilliant guess.
Where did he end up in Portugal?
I don't know, because I think he was in Mexico for a while, but
yeah, he's a nomad. He's just he's been kind of moved around to other teams because he couldn't stick it around for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's also this. It's like, okay, if we have two players to name, just give us like slightly more time, that type of thing. But you know, I feel bad, I really do, but it's just one of those things where I think a minute and a half is a little bit on the egregious side. You know, like 40 seconds.
I mean, if you would have forced me to name a player, I did say Greg Garza about 15 seconds into that. So if you want to roll the tape, I said him early on. So it's like if you made me pick a player, I did say I have no guess, but like I did say Greg Garza. I was like, F it, but like. Okay, I don't care. One way or the other, I got the answer right and I know it. So if I lose getting the answer right, so be it. But I get AJ's point as well. It took forever. But if you would have forced me to name a player early on, Greg Garza would have been the player I named because he was the first player that came to mind. So I don't care.
All right, Mark. I mean, you know, you're the quiz master. You make the delineation.
I mean, AJ beats me if he gets the next question anyway, right?
No. Well, yeah, I had the chance to, but that's, you know.
Not the next one, I think, because you were down by a point.
Well, then give it to AJ just because I don't want him losing the whole thing to this because I know I'd be salty in his position as well. So on the risk of AJ not getting the next two questions right, knowing how your 3-point and 5-point questions go, I'd be annoyed in his case as well, but I will say that I got the answer right to this, and I will die on that ship. So,
do we want to ask the questions?
If we end it now, I do get to save some questions. So I mean, just something to consider.
You can end it. I don't care. I mean, I know I got the question right, and if you would have forced me, I would have said that anyway. But I'm fine with it.
I feel like this is a good ending point.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, a little bit contentious, but I think at the end of the day, we will find out who will be the winner next week.
If I lose next week, by the way, I'm going to contentious and be a salty bastard. I just want everyone to know that. Like, I'm a bad loser, and if I lose because of this, I will be a salty bastard about it myself. So, just putting that out there.
Yeah, no, fair enough, and also I think it goes both ways. With I think I felt pretty salty in that first round. Where
I would have been salty about that.
Yeah, the questions were definitely still as difficult, I think, but I think they became a little easier in the last 2 episodes. But that first round, that first edition was like, oh my god.
I think the second one in particular,
yeah, definitely were some ridiculously hard questions. But anyway, so that does it for the Soccer Trivia Showdown. Thank you for sticking around if you have through the we're still trying to figure out the game as well. But anyway, that does it for the entire show, almost, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is that, what do you think of the MLS is Back tournament? Yeah, obviously there's a lot to it and whatnot, but do you have a favorite part to it? Is there a part that really bugs you? Let us know in the comments below. And that does it for the show pretty much, guys. And so for Tanner, for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. See you later.